The problem with participation trophies. Now, here's the main problem with kids getting participation trophies, and I don't know if you ever got one. If you did, let me know in the comments below. But part of my generation, they never handed those out. You didn't get a trophy unless you did something, unless you won something, unless you proved you were better than somebody else at something. That was the only time you got any type of recognition. And if you didn't prove that, you got nothing. Right? You basically went home empty-handed, and the other kid went home with, a trophy, right? That he rightfully earned. And by seeing this other kid go home with a trophy and you go home empty-handed, even though obviously it would make you feel bad, it made you want to try harder. It made you want to get better. It made you want to, like, as soon as you get home, I'm going to start training. Okay, as soon as I get home, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to focus on becoming the best I can possibly be at this. Why? Because you don't want to experience that feeling again. That feeling of losing, right? It sucks. It doesn't feel good. And because nobody gave you that trophy for losing, you're like, okay, the only way I'm going to get one of those trophies is if I win. If I improve, if I get better, and I go out and outcompete this other dude, this other kid, this other person, that's the only way I'm going to get this trophy. The problem is the generation that came after mine, which is my younger brother's generation, the millennial generation, they started handing these kids what's called participation trophies. That means you get a trophy just for showing up. You get a trophy just for being there, just for existing. Every kid gets a participation trophy. Nobody is going to go home feeling bad about themselves. By the way, you know who pushes this the most and who pushed this the most, especially in the beginning, were females, women, mostly female teachers. Okay, it wasn't the guys pushing this. I mean, men knew better, at least back then. They knew better. They're like, no, this isn't a good idea to give kids a trophy for doing nothing, right? But the women kept pushing and pushing and pushing this. So they got, I couldn't even believe it. I remember when I first started hearing about this, I laughed. I mean, I was probably like still in my late teens, right? But I remember laughing. I thought this was a joke. I didn't think it would ever happen. And then a few years later, it started to happen. And I just was like, really? This is totally going to go away. This is totally going to backfire. I was like, this isn't going to last. And here we are, decades later, it's still here. It's bigger than ever. And now we are actually seeing the results of these former kids who were part of that participation trophy generation as adults. And we're seeing how it has turned many of them into gigantic crybabies who can't compete in life, who have like, they call it the self-esteem movement. They were part of the self-esteem movement, right? Because I remember there was an article, I think it was way back then when I read it. They were like, oh, these participation trophies where every kid gets a trophy, we're making this part of the new self-esteem movement for children. So children will not feel bad. We don't want them feeling bad if they lose. We want all of them to feel like winners. So now what we have is a generation of losers who have the self-esteem of a winner for doing nothing. Okay? And I'm not saying all, right? Because I have a lot of followers that are millennials, and even now I'm getting a lot of followers who are Generation Z. We call them Zoomers, I guess. That's what they're calling themselves. That's not my term. But Zoomers. And getting these kids following me, they're not like that. Because any kid who would follow my stuff, they're not part of that. They don't have that woke mentality. They don't have this mentality where they want to be given things. Instead, they have the mentality that I teach you guys where we earn things. Okay? We win things. If we don't win, guess what? We go home empty-handed. We feel like garbage, but guess what? That is what pushes us to try harder the next time. That is what pushes us to train harder, to get better, to self-educate, to learn more, gain more knowledge, adopt better habits so we could get out there and win. Okay, because you're not part of that participation trophy garbage, right? You're not part of the self-esteem movement. Because again, look at what it's created. You've got a bunch of adult kids out there who are now in their 20s, even some in their early 30s, who are the biggest babies on the planet. They can't deal with rejection. They can't deal with any challenges life throws them. They can't deal with any obstacles. I mean, why do you think we have this cancel culture that we're living in today? Right? Where you have these college kids, and you see these like videos go viral on YouTube. These college kids that can't handle any opinion that is opposite of their own. They can't even when it's based on facts, they can't handle any discussion that contradicts their own ideas. Okay? They can't handle somebody who doesn't agree with them, somebody who doesn't live in the same echo chamber they do. They can't even handle the discussion. So you know what they do? They shut them down. They cancel them. They ban them from social media. Right? And I've seen some of these accounts that have like millions of subscribers, and then 3 people complained, and then they shut down the entire account. What happened to the million people that were supporting that dude? No, we had 3 people complain. They're very, very hurt by this and very, very upset. So we had to cancel. We had to just close the account. I mean, and you guys wonder like, hey man, is it just me or are we living in crazy town? It's like, yeah, we're all living in crazy town now, thanks to this participation trophy self-esteem movement nonsense that began happening in the early 90s with Generation Z, entering kindergarten, first grade, second grade. You know, this is where this all came from. I remember back in my day, we didn't, you know, kindergarten was no big deal, right? What do you do in kindergarten? You just draw and nap all day, right? You trace, you don't even draw. You trace things, you nap, you eat graham crackers, and that's it. You go home. You don't do anything. You know, you don't really learn anything. But it was no big deal, because then you would just move on to the first grade, second grade, third grade, whatever. Nowadays, and this also started about maybe a couple of decades ago, nowadays they have graduation for kindergartners. Graduation. From doing what? Right? I mean, even at that age in kindergarten, I mean, I was like, if they had a graduation, I would have been like, what did I do? Right? And what this does, I mean, this is all part of that participation generation nonsense. Having a graduation for kindergartens, I've always thought that is just like the most ridiculous thing. I remember my younger brother and sister were like just, you know, basically entering school at that time. I don't remember them having graduation, but I believe it happened a few years after them, and I was just astounded how many people were like posting photos of their child, like, you know, on like social media when social media started to come around. Like, even to this day, they still do it, right? Of their kids graduating kindergarten. It's like, really? Really, dude? This kid like peed and pooped throughout kindergarten. You didn't learn math, arithmetic. You didn't do anything, right? What are you graduating from, right? But again, this is part of that participation trophy, self-esteem indoctrination that they want kids to feel. And that's why now we have a bunch of monsters out there. Again, not all, but many of them, right, that have become monsters as adults with this just huge level of entitlement and this insane level of self-esteem for really accomplishing and doing nothing. This is why you have liberal arts majors out there expecting 7 figures, you know, making 6 figures a year, and then complaining about the 1%, or, you know, like, oh, all these, you know, there's just so much like division between successful and unsuccessful people these days. But they're constantly crying foul. Oh, I'm so oppressed. I live in one of the best countries in the world, but I'm so oppressed. And this is why they're like, oh, we want socialism. We want everyone to be the same. And everyone, you know, everyone's the same and nobody's different, because then it hides their mediocrity. It hides their failure in life. That's why they want to bring down successful people so they can do what's called leveling, right? This is something, a common technique that narcissists do, is they level, right? They want to bring successful people down and unsuccessful people up so everyone's on the same level. But that's just not reality, right? That's not reality, and that's not how life works. And that's how you create crazy town. And that's how you get a bunch of kids out there who can't handle somebody else's opinion because it doesn't match their own. And then they cancel you, or they ban you, or they remove the YouTube dislike button, because most people are disliking all these woke videos, including the ones from the corporate mainstream media and the White House. And then instead of competing like you're supposed to and trying to produce better content, trying to give the people what they actually want, and trying to build something of value that people will actually click the like button about, nope, just remove the dislike button so you can't see it. Right? That is their way of winning, is by cheating. Because they were never taught to compete, were they? Because many of the people who are running these like woke platforms these days are part of that participation trophy generation, the self-esteem movement, the graduated from kindergarten class. You know, they're part of that. They don't know what it's like to work, to compete, to build, to get better, to get feedback from people, to understand what you are doing wrong. Okay? Instead, they want to live in this bubble, this echo chamber, this delusion where everything is utopia. Nobody ever makes me feel bad. Nobody ever tells me I'm wrong. Nobody ever challenges me. I don't want to hear that because then that's why they have these safe spaces now, right? Where do you guys all think this came from? Came from that. Came from the participation trophy. And what message is that actually sending to kids when you give them a trophy for failing? You give them a trophy for losing. Okay, you're basically patting them on the head for behaviors that are not going to help them in life. It's like with a dog. You can't, your dog like pees all over your couch. You can't pat him on the head and go, oh, good dog, great job. No, instead you got to be like, don't pee there. Right? Do not pee there. And of course the dog's going to feel bad for a little bit, but that's how they learn not to do that. Right? And with these kids today, it's just insane the level of superiority they have, the level of arrogance that many of these, they're not kids anymore, they're adults, right? The level of arrogance they have with no life experience, no accomplishments, never done anything, never achieved anything yet, and probably never will, but yet has the just arrogance that even people who achieve things don't have, right? It's like, dude, you've done nothing. Why are you so confident about yourself, right? And the thing you'll notice about previous generations, before this, woke generation, before this participation trophy generation, whether you're talking about Generation Z, we were probably the last ones to have this. Boomers, silent generation, if they're still around. One thing you'll notice is that there's a sense of humility that we have. I always notice, like, when I run across a guy who's like a Gen Z, at least for the most part, not everybody, obviously can't paint everybody with the same broad brush, but when you talk to somebody from Generation Z or a previous generation, there's usually a sense of humility. We don't come at people like we're automatically big and bad, even if we are, right? Even if we're like successful, right? I'm pretty successful, right? But I don't walk around with this like air of superiority, like I own everyone, I know everything, and don't question me, right? I don't walk around with that level of arrogance. But a lot of these kids these days do, right? They talk about the self-esteem movement. That's the self-esteem movement on steroids. Right? They were giving these kids trophies and accolades for not accomplishing anything. Therefore, they taught these kids to believe that they're special for no reason. Right? In my day and generations before me, the way you became special is by doing something special. It's so easy to understand. But again, right now we're living in crazy land, right? We're living in like upside down town where everything is ass backwards. And for a lot of normal people and people who aren't part of that like wokeness and rejected the participation trophies, it's like, what's wrong with these people? But that is, really, that is the problem with these participation trophies. And then really this is where, and I kind of went into a whole like spear here covering what's going on in today's world and why we're so divided, why everything's so politicized, and why one side is like just full of such babies. And it's just insane, right? It's just insane. But this is why you don't give kids trophies for something they didn't earn, right? You don't give them a participation trophy, because what are you doing? You're sending all the wrong messages to them. You're sending the message to them that they will be rewarded for losing. They will be rewarded for failure. They will be rewarded for mediocrity. They don't have to try in life. They don't have to try to improve themselves, get better, work through challenges, work through obstacles. This is why I say a lot of these kids these days, just from my own observation, and just even seeing them on like YouTube and stuff, I mean, they're just complete little weak beta males, right? They're just little bitches. I mean, they can't handle anything. They can't handle even the truth. They can't even handle the truth. You know, even like back in my day, like the truth has never been nice, right? Nobody wants to hear the truth. Like even back in my day, it's like when you tell somebody the truth, they don't like it, but it was kind of like, you know, all right, you just deal with it, because you're like, man, that's the truth, you know, and what can I do to work through this or become better? Where nowadays it's like, what did he say? Even though it's like facts and truth. Dude, this guy just said this. Can you cancel him? Can you remove his platform, his ability to earn a living? He needs to be canceled. He needs to be shut down. He needs to be shamed. You know, it's like, wow, dude. I mean, it is insane the times we're living in, right? And I hate to say, I don't like to get political in any of my videos, right? But this is all coming from the left, right? Sure, the right has their issues too, but I don't see a bunch of conservatives out there trying to shut down free speech and remove people off platforms. It's all people who are on the left. And this is why I always say I will never support the left ever, 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 ever. And no red pill guy should. Okay, no red pill guy should, because you're just going to get more of this craziness. You're just going to get more of crazy town, right? You're just going to get more of this like ridiculous hypocrisy, coddling, and people living in a delusion, and you're going to end up in an upside down world that, you know, at some point is going to end up affecting you, and you're not going to like it. But yeah, man, yeah. But as always, guys, drop your comments below. Let me know what you think of tonight's coaching video, anything you want to share below. If you ever got a participation trophy, what was your experience with that? Did you feel good about it? Did you put it up on your mantle? Or did you just toss that thing right in the trash like many of my subscribers have done when they were kids? Let me know in the comments below. Drop your comments below. I always love to see them. I always love to read them. And I will see you in my next coaching video. And as always, this is M, also known as Matt Cross, from AlphaMaleSecrets, signing out. Don't forget to smash that like button below. Go ahead and smash it right now. Also, hit that notification bell right next to it so that you're notified whenever I release a brand new coaching video here on the YouTube. More importantly, guys, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. Helps me out a ton when you actually subscribe to my channel. So please make sure you subscribe as well. Okay, and for you guys who want to support my work and all of this incredible content that I am teaching you here on my AlphaMaleSecrets channel, the best way to do that is by becoming a premium subscriber of my premium AlphaMaleSecrets channel, which I am hosting on a private platform away from YouTube, and I'm doing that for obvious reasons. That's to protect my content from YouTube in the event that they ever try to shut me down. I will always have my premium content available on my premium channel because I am paying to be on this other platform. And this is the absolute best way to support my work. So if you love what I'm doing here, I would really appreciate it if you become a premium subscriber of my premium AlphaMaleSecrets channel. And right now, it's only $1 for the entire first month of premium AlphaMaleSecrets content from me. So take advantage of it. Who can't afford $1? All you have to do is click that link below in my description box. It will take you over to my website where you could get signed up right now. It just takes 2 seconds. So do that now, and I will see you in my next coaching video. I'm out.